So after the disappointing run of Seth Rollins in 2015 around post WrestleMania season and then afterwards getting injured, it looked like hope would be on Rollins' side, that this would be a blessing in disguise. Like there were a lot of plans in place for Seth Rollins for WrestleMania. Like word was going around that it was going to be the Shield Dream match. It was going to be Triple H versus Seth Rollins for the WWE World Championship. He was going to drop the belt to Roman Reigns at Survivor Series that the year he got injured. We don't know and probably never will. But he returned at Extreme Rules in dramatic fashion, pedigreeing Roman Reigns after his title defense match against AJ Styles. So and the fans were like, yeah, it's Rollins, he's back, man, he's back. And Roman Reigns was booed as always. Like I only saw one person in the crowd booing Rollins when I was watching the pay-per-view. There was an old lady on, like she's on TV, like you could see a clip of her on TV. She's booing Seth Rollins because he pedigreed Roman Reigns, and I'm pretty sure she was the only person in the crowd that was booing him. And then afterwards, the following night on Raw, Rollins addressed the criticisms the fans were giving him, like saying like, "Oh, you all welcome me back and whatnot. It feels so emotional." And then he revealed that he burned every letter that he ever given them, that they ever given him. I hardly believe that. And he claimed that he didn't need them and thus remained a heel while Shane McMahon announced a match between Reigns and Rollins for the title at Money in the Bank. This led to everybody, including me, complaining about the fact that why was WWE leaving money on the table by not slotting Reigns as a face and Rollins as a face and Reigns as a heel, as this was the opposite of what fans wanted. And at Money in the Bank, after finally building it up for a couple of weeks, especially the teasing of the Shield match that we were getting from Dean Ambrose in the Ambrose Asylum segment, Seth Rollins defeated Roman Reigns clean in his first ever clean loss in singles competition, and overall his second clean loss in his entire career because during his time on the main roster. Because the first time he lost clean, it was against the Wyatt family in the first ever Wyatt family versus Shield match. So that was awesome. And Rollins was supposed to lose that match that night because Roman Reigns was going to get suspended 2 days later, so they had to change plans and give Rollins the belt, and then only to give it to Ambrose minutes later due to his Money in the Bank cash-in win. And afterwards, Seth Rollins would feud with Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, and I was surprised that he decided to take shots at Roman Reigns' suspension by having Seth Rollins address the obvious elephant in the room. So I was like, you're actually acknowledging it. You would probably. I was suspecting that they would have done what they did during the triple threat build between Ambrose, Reigns, and Brock Lesnar, whereas they acknowledge Reigns is here, but he's just gone for some reason. He's not really physically involved in the feud for some reason. So that led to Rollins addressing it and creating some memorable moments such as the Rollins Report, which was the absolute most hilarious thing I ever saw. Like in the first 2 months of his return, he was doing so well. It looked like his heel run was finally catching on. He was doing so well, and he was finally becoming the heel that we wanted him to be. But there was just a problem. The fans wanted him as a good guy because Roman Reigns was the top guy, and they wanted him to be the good guy and Reigns to be the villain. So that created a conundrum. So in July, Rollins would fail to regain the renamed WWE Championship in matches against Dean Ambrose on both Raw and SmackDown before Battleground. And Rollins was the first overall draft pick to Raw and the overall first draft pick in entirety because, well, Rollins is that great. And Shane McMahon even teased saying, like, oh, congratulations, you got CrossFit Jesus on board. Which led to everyone saying, oh, he acknowledged the internet, he acknowledged the IWC, he actually complimented us. Because people on the internet like to call Seth Rollins CrossFit Jesus for some reason. The CrossFit I get, but the Jesus part I don't understand. Like, okay, like he's great at the ring and whatnot, but he's not the second coming. And Sorry. At Battleground on July 24th, Rollins lost the triple threat match against Ambrose and Reigns for the newly renamed WWE World Championship, which became exclusive to SmackDown. Because of this, the Universal Championship was introduced the following night on Raw, and as Rollins was not pinned at Battleground, he was scheduled for that match against Finn Balor, who won 2 qualifying matches to face Rollins for the title at SummerSlam, which Balor won. And as I said in my Finn Balor video on 2016, yeah, the incident pretty much damaged Rollins' reputation with Bret Hart, and Bret Hart has repeatedly criticized Seth Rollins, saying, "Oh, you injure people. You're not safe in the ring. You're not as safe as I was in the ring back then, and I worked a very stiff style." And this led to the turnbuckle powerbomb maneuver being overall banned from Rollins' maneuver, which I understood because it was injuring people now, like it injured Sting and now injured Finn Balor. The curse stop, yeah, they don't have a case for that, other than the whole portray Lesnar as an idiot and not really care about the safety concern of wrestlers. That's the second priority. We don't want Lesnar to look like an idiot. Shouldn't wrestlers' health be more of a concern than the visualization of Lesnar crawling on the ground, bloodied and whatnot? Even though that context makes sense. So, anyways, after Balor was forced to relinquish the title the next day on Raw, due to the shoulder injury he suffered in the match, Bret Hart goes on this big tangent explaining how Seth Rollins is unsafe, he's dangerous in the ring and whatnot, like I said. And Seth Rollins' feelings were hurt on the matter, and Bret Hart retaliated again, saying, "You should be glad I'm criticizing you. I'm bashing you on a personal level. I'm bashing you on a professional level." And that is very bad. Like, a lot of people were, like, on Rollins' side, like, dude, he didn't intentionally try to hurt him. And, like, this is a business. People get hurt. Like, you got hurt, and look what that led. And now people hate Goldberg's guts, mostly in Canada. And they still do to this day, apparently. So Rollins defeats Sami Zayn to qualify for a Fatal 4-Way match to determine the new Universal Champion. And on August 29th, Rollins faces Big Cass, Kevin Owens, and Roman Reigns in a Fatal 4-Way elimination match for the title, in which a returning Triple H, who made his return since WrestleMania, to help Rollins eliminate Reigns, but then turned on Rollins by giving him the pedigree, allowing Owens to get the championship, and turning Rollins' face in the process for the first time since his run in the Shield at the end tail. The following week, on September 5th episode, Rollins interrupted Owens' celebration by confronting Stephanie McMahon, highlighting the fact that he was injured, how he did so much for Triple H and Stephanie, and yet this is the thanks he gets. And Rollins was berated by Owens, with Kevin Owens saying, "This is Kevin Owens' show, haven't you heard?" And the whole, "looks like the architect is playing nothing more than total failure." And Rollins just attacked him out of anger. And this is where the booking went confusing. Like Rollins' booking was getting really confusing after that. Like, first it was going alright, and then it just went like, are we supposed to cheer for him or boo him? Because they never made that clear distinction. Like, Triple H pedigreeing him, okay, that could help, but the fact that Rollins was expecting Triple H to help him and not turn on him, and then if Triple H did really help him, then nothing would have changed. Rollins would have been the same, so really, what was the whole point in this? In his, quote, face turn. So, but Mick Foley overruled Stephanie McMahon's suspension rule and granted him a rematch against Owens for the Universal Championship at Clash of Champions. And they built it up. It was alright, like I said, because Kevin Owens did so well, but Seth Rollins was still muddied in the water. Like, originally plans were calling for Triple H to get involved at Clash of Champions to manage Kevin Owens at ringside, while Stephanie McMahon, Mick Foley managed Seth Rollins at ringside, which makes sense and actually would have made the match more interesting, but that didn't happen. Instead, we got overbooking, Stephanie McMahon, Kevin Owens being portrayed as a weakling, and Chris Jericho. And Rollins also suffered a legitimate rib injury, and yet Kevin Owens is not getting bashed by Bret Hart to say, "You're dangerous, you injure people," and whatnot. And at Hell in a Cell, Rollins would once again face the Universal Champion Kevin Owens in a losing effort inside Hell in a Cell, after Jericho was able to enter the cell and assist Owens, and Rollins teamed with Jericho, Owens, Reigns, and Braun Strowman as part of Team Raw in a losing effort. I've talked about this in the other videos. And on the post-Survivor Series Raw, Rollins failed again to win the Universal Championship from Owens in a no DQ match following the interference of Jericho again. And the following week, Rollins attacked Jericho in the parking lot and while Jericho was attempting to leave the arena. And this is where the booking got confusing. Like, initially it was going well. Kevin Owens is being sabotaged by Rollins, who's trying to divide the friendship between Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. However, there was a moment in here that made me say, yeah, this is Vince McMahon's booking written all over it. It's when he announced the words Sparkle Crotch. Why? Why is Seth Rollins saying that? Please explain why. Like, I get the context because Jericho likes to wear sparkles on his trunk, but really? Like, if it was John Cena saying that I could get because John Cena's character is based to be a cartoon character. But Rollins and Reigns, when they're told say this line and be stupid about it, it makes no sense because Reigns looks like a badass and has the attitude of one. Rollins looks like a badass and has the attitude of one. Why are they going in this direction? Like, is Vince McMahon's mentality that there is no such thing as a different kind of star? It's just John Cena or nothing. So, yeah, and during the Survivor Series build, yeah, logic was defied for all reasons. Like, initially, it was showing the tension between Owens and Rollins and Jericho and Reigns. But then on the final Raw till Survivor Series, Jericho, they all stood side by side despite their issues with each other. And Seth Rollins even looked like he was acting like the team leader, saying, "We got the Universal Champ to the man, to the big dog." And you have no idea what me and Reigns are capable of when we're all on the same page. And then at Tribute to the Troops, I didn't address this in my Roman Reigns video. And in fact, I didn't talk about Tribute to the Troops whatsoever because I didn't watch that show. The Shield reunited again with a tease, and they mocked the club because the club was being booked horribly, except for AJ Styles, so he can't really claim they're the most dominant faction in WWE. The Shield really claimed that mark. And Evolution, and DX. Yeah, those two, all those factions. You could also say the Nexus, but then they got buried by John Cena's ego because fuck the future. It's all about John Cena. So, Roadblock into the line, Jericho and Rollins is announced, and it's a disappointing match. The only highlight was the crowd holding signs of "stupid idiot" to Chris Jericho, which was funny. And then afterwards, Rollins got involved again. Pedigree Seth Rollins to end the year, and Kevin Owens. And I'm like, oh god, really? Can you make Kevin Owens look strong? Could you even try? Instead, you're making him look like an imbecile. You're making him bad. You're not making him cool. You're not well, except for his antics. You're not making him who Kevin Owens really is. You're not making him NXT Kevin Owens. You're not making him fight Owens fight. You're making him cower Owens cower. So, why? So, like the plan right now in 2017 is for Seth Rollins to fight Triple H at WrestleMania. Word was going around that they were saying, why not do it twice? This time at Royal Rumble and this time at WrestleMania. Because they want to fill up the Alamo Dome for Royal Rumble, but they changed plans now. So, is he going to be in the Royal Rumble match? Probably, since he's not really booked for anything else. And also, you got the fact that since it's going to have Triple H versus Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, is Triple H going to get involved at the Royal Rumble, or is he going to show up at Fastlane? Because they have to start building this match and also explain what the hell happened. And I didn't really feel invested in their end of the line match for Rollins and Jericho because it just more looked like he wanted Triple H. The fans wanted Triple H. Jericho was a consolation prize, and even though Jericho is entertaining, everyone wants to see Triple H versus Seth Rollins because it's a unique match, because they've seen Jericho and Rollins like dozens of times in the span of 3 months. I mean, like, I know I'm exaggerating on that, but like that is the case here. So why don't they just give us an explanation? Like, Triple H has yet to return, and I want an explanation because this really needs to be explained. But I know this is Monday Night Raw, so the logic is very, 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 very flawed. So I'm pretty sure they'll screw it up somehow. And I also did like when Big Cass said size does matter. And I'm like, okay. I don't know if I should laugh at this because that was kind of funny, or should I laugh because that was actually absolutely cringe because I know what you're doing. You're referencing the whole nude photos of Seth Rollins with his privates. Let's just say that. So, yeah. Okay. So, were they trying to, like, say, oh, Rollins, you have a tiny you know what? And I'm like, okay. I know in storyline they were trying to say the height of Big Cass, but really we all know what that really was. It was a in joke for Seth Rollins' pictures that was leaked last year in 2015. So yeah, yeah, that was really sad. But anyways, and also Seth Rollins broke up with his girlfriend Sarah Scriber or whatever. They did not say why, and honestly, I don't care because that's their private life. If they don't need it, he doesn't need to explain why. As much as fans like to think he should. And even though he was engaged, and then all this happened, and fans wanted to know why, and I'm like, dude, there's their private life. Can you just stay out of it? So Seth Rollins was having a great year, and then it got mixed and muddied in the water. So I'm looking forward to what he's going to do in 2017. Hopefully, they clear more. They add more context to Triple H, and actually give us explanations. And I mean actual interesting explanations, not just generic evil authority figures. So those were my thoughts on Seth Rollins' 2016. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.